Who pays for the cloud?
Oh, I mean, it's just in the cloud.
Someone else pays. Who owns the cloud? I guess it's more.
Yes, that's.
But you can argue both ways. I mean, it's not. It's say, oh, it's expensive to store on digital. It's really expensive to store on film. You know, I've made other documentaries, and for me to take money to transfer that all to film and store it with a 3-strip black and white negative and put it in a salt mine or up at Eastman Kodak or here, it's not going to happen.
But it only costs you that once.
It
costs
me
every 5 years.
And I don't have that much money to even pay.
No doubt. Preservation.
So for me to put it on a drive and then 6 months later or a year later, put it on my new drive, and then a year later put it on my new drive and back it up, that's much less expensive.
Sounds that way.
It is. I mean, you get a terabyte drive for, $300 or something.
No, what actually concerns me in all seriousness is that I don't actually believe at this point that the technology companies will ever designate a preservation master for like what the film industry did in 1909. They will never do that because it's not in their interest to do so financially. As long as there's new technology, as long as there's a better version, like that, the gentleman in the film says there's been 80 versions of videos.
It's a big issue. I mean, I just came down on the side of like, just put it on drive, but that's not the best way to preserve something either. And there's obsolescence is a huge factor. I mean, they have digital things that, oh wow, this is great. This LTO tape can save something for 40 years. And then now they're up to LTO version 5, and the first 3 versions don't play on that deck. I mean, that's been about 10 years that's gone. Whereas film, if it's, it says in the movie, it says it's stored properly, it's going to last.
So maybe
decades.
underpinning all of this is just that the film aspect is no, and the digital is really not.
Well, I think this film obviously starts a very important conversation about that, and so I'd like to open up the conversation to the audience. Yes?
This question for Chris. I'm just curious, what did you shoot on?
We shot on film. No, we didn't. We shot on Panasonic little, prosumer cameras, Panasonic HPX 170s.
And the DP is actually in the house.
DP is back there. And we also shot with one of these, a Canon 5D for a lot of the really nice looking B-roll and stuff that you see in there. Yes,
when it comes to preservation, I mean, thanks to this film, we see that there is a market, or the market has to develop for preserving films digitally. Right? I mean, why shouldn't anybody be interested in doing that if there's really, literally money in that? People pay a lot of money to do that. So technology, big companies will see themselves urged to develop in that direction.
Yeah, digital storage is definitely a problem. Businesses and banks and companies like that, they store a lot of their material digitally now also, but it's the same thing. If you're a small, independent filmmaker, like I just said, oh, I'll buy a new drive or I'll mic. Like in reality, you don't have the time or the infrastructure, the organization to really hang on to things. Whereas big studios, I think if they have the money to store something on film, and that's the best way to store it. So good for them. But yes, something needs to, that's still an area that's in flux and needs to be figured out. So.
Did you talk to Jim Cameron about this at all? Because in the back of my head, when I'm freaking out about this in the middle of the night, I think about him.
Call Jim.
I think about Jim Cameron. No, because
or call George.
He's got to figure it out for Avatar, right? It will be impossible to preserve Avatar on film. That is an impossibility. And it's also a film that the producers, the studio, cannot ignore, right? I mean, it's made how many billions of dollars? It changed the way that people see cinema in the 21st century. They're going to have to figure it out. So I'm like, I don't have to figure it out, I don't have to figure it out. Jim Giannopoulos is going to figure it out. Because he's running Fox and he owns it, he's got to figure it out. And Jim Cameron will probably be the one, but does he have an idea?
I didn't ask him about that.
Part 2. This is cool. How to save Avatar.
Saving Avatar.
go through our archives and see if we have that answer, if they're still around.
Sir?
Hi,